You mentioned that some of the attractions that might rely more heavily on international tourists aren't seeing those numbers. In terms of the overall numbers of visitation to London, whilst they're different audience types, I propose we're not that far off the percentages we actually need. Are we around 85, 90% of normal?
Not to be pedantic, depends what your normal is, but also choices about, bluntly, who your most valuable markets are. So if you're Hilton, if you're in hospitality, if you're in accommodation, actually you want people staying overnight. If you're in some visitor attractions, you're content with day trippers. So actually it's the nature of the person, your nature of the business that dictates the valuable nature of tourism. So I co-chair the London Tourism Recovery Board with Kate Nichols of UK Hospitality. And we've been very clear that in the initial phase of recovery, we absolutely wanted overnight stays from Brits coming into London. In the international stage of recovery, we absolutely want overnight stays of international tourists, then domestic, then Londoners. And that's purely on the basis of repairing the economy. So how much they spend. And we've targeted the overseas markets who will spend the most and are most likely to come. So I suppose the answer to your question is you need to do the market, and this is so your area rather than mine, you need to market towards the most valuable market for you at that moment. And that could be day trippers or it could be overnights, but it does depend on your business.
Yeah, and you know, we've been having these discussions for a while. I think when we were looking at the impact Brexit would have on international tourism, that was a strategy that we were looking at executing very much so. US visitors from the Far East, China as well, higher value, higher spend, longer stay visitors. That was going to be the target. Then, of course, though, the pandemic has changed the dynamic there. Yeah. And for some reason as well, I feel a little bit more warmth from European visitors than I would have expected.
Depends on the age. Okay. So the other fly in the ointment, you're absolutely right, because Brexit and COVID happened at the same time. And so it's been really difficult to unpick what is down to Brexit and what is down to COVID. But there are some things that are clearly down to Brexit. So one is that we no longer provide duty-free shopping. We've withdrawn from that. So the VAT-free shopping, that's made us internationally uncompetitive against Paris or France more generally, or Germany, or indeed the whole of the European Union. So, and that was a Brexit decision. A second is that as from September last year, the UK government has insisted that children and young people coming into the UK have to travel on a passport and not an EU identity card. That has decimated the children and young people's market in the UK. So for example, English language learning in Margate in Kent in 2019 used to be worth £30 million a year. It's now worth 3. That's a deliberate decision by the UK government to say we don't want children from EU coming here on anything other than passports. Now, if you're a teacher in Lyon and you've got 32 kids and 27 of them have got EU identity cards and the other ones don't have, or 27 of them have got passports and the other 4 or 5 have only got EU identity cards, you're not going to choose Kent to go on a 3-day long weekend. You're going to go elsewhere in France or somewhere else in Europe. So that's had a dramatic effect. So that is an example where Brexit has kicked in, and kicked in badly for the tourism sector. In terms of more general warmth to the UK, we are getting people coming back from our closest, geographically closest markets. And that's reassuring. And the more that we can tell them, you were missed, you are welcome, please come, please stay, please travel all around the UK, the more we can do that, the better.
Absolutely. I suppose furthermore as well, the pound's gone down quite significantly against the dollar and the euro over the last few months as well, so it's a better deal, because that was going to be one of the problems as well. We were getting up to 1.2, 1.21 against the euro, whereas actually now moving a little bit lower, they've got better spending power, so potentially a trip to the UK is on the cards a bit more. And I do think that that's something to be quite hopeful of. I think that we will get more European visitors than we might have expected, which would be a great thing.